Thanks for coming and being with us this evening. So the purpose of this evening is to chat through our annual volunteer survey, and kind of give you guys an oversight of what happened and what people said, and give you an opportunity to ask us, the volunteer team, any questions. So my name is Riley. I'm the Volunteer and Programmes Manager, for those who may not have met me. I manage the volunteering team across the parks. A great privilege to have so many wonderful volunteers with us, and a great team that I manage as well. So with us tonight from our team as well, we also have Rachel Dowse, who many of you may know. We have Joanna Haywood, Janet Arnold, and Anna McLaughlin. So I think we also might have Lisa joining us as well shortly. So thanks very much for joining us. Just a bit of housekeeping is if you could keep your mic muted while I'm doing the presentation, but there'll be plenty of time for questions at the end. If there's a little, you can put your hand up, you can do a little action to put your hand up, or you can also ask questions in the chat function, or you can also, when we've got time for questions, just shout out as well. That if you have any additional questions while we're going through, put them in the chat, that's fine. And because this is live, we are going to be recording it. So if you miss any of it now, you can watch it later. So as Rachel said, we are recording at least the presentation part of this talk, but we'll probably not record the questions and answers, just in case anybody doesn't want to be recording asking those questions. So Rachel, is there anything else that I missed? Because Rachel usually does all the housekeeping and knows it by heart.
No, so just to say, when she says raise your hand, there should be a button along the top called reactions, and that one of those is a hand. If you're just on camera waving your hand, I might miss you, or whoever's doing the Q&A might miss you. So that's what we mean by raising your hand, but obviously you'll be fine to come off mute and ask verbally as well. The chat function is the little speech bubble that will either be at the top or the bottom of your screen, depending on what you're using. So you can type questions in there as well at any point, and we'll come to them at the end. So if something occurs to you while you're presenting and you don't want to forget to ask, you can just type that in there. That won't disturb us. If you get kicked out for any reason and you can't get back in, you can also email volunteering@royalparks.org.uk, and I'll be keeping an eye on that, and I'll see what I can do to get you back in if something you do have technical issues. I think that is basically it. So.
Great, thanks, Rach. So without further ado, we'll go through the results. So firstly, kind of want to introduce why we've done this survey and who was it for. So this volunteer survey was sent out to over 1,500 volunteers. So this was sent out in December 2021. So if you weren't registered at that time, unfortunately you wouldn't have got this survey yet, but we do it annually, and it's really, really important for us. It did come about when we started our first strategy at the beginning of 2019. And really, it's for us because we really do want feedback, and we want to improve our volunteering experience for everybody. We want to be able to make sure that we're doing the right things, and that if there's anything more that we can be doing, we absolutely would love to hear about it. A little apology for the delay in the evaluation. It's taken us some time as we're getting more and more busy as a team, but it's a delight to share it with you now. So we had sent out a mix of quantitative and qualitative questions to try and best gather an overview of what volunteers think. So we asked about multiple things. We asked about the recruitment and the training, the volunteer recognition and value, tasks and responsibilities, contact and communication, and opportunities for improvement. I'm getting used to this. Okay, so the number of respondents. So despite the fact that we've got 1,500 volunteers at the time signed up onto the hub, we had 115 responses. We'd obviously love to have more than that. In previous years, we've had a few more. Perhaps that means that we're not sending it out in the best way, or not getting it to all the right people. So feedback on that would be wonderful as well. It was sent to all registered Royal Parks volunteers via our newsletter, but also by our various volunteer coordinators, whether that be one of my team here or the other various coordinators who you work with across the parks. So it was only sent to those who are registered with us through our volunteer hub, not necessarily to our partner organisations. But some people fit into both categories. Oh, there we go. Excellent. So as I said, 2019 was the first one, and we've been doing it every year since that first. So we have 31 different groups that we have allocated across all the V8 parks and Brompton Cemetery, and our volunteers cover a wide range of things, as many of you know. So that includes conservation, horticulture, learning, engagement, wildlife monitoring, and heritage. So everybody covers a wide range of things, and we got some responses for people who do all of this, which is really fantastic. So let's start with success. Where did we have successes? So starting with recruitment, induction, and training. In 2020, we're doing okay. You know, 87.5% rated recruitment as good or very good, and 91.5% rated induction and training as good or very good. I think I said that the wrong way around, but you know what I mean. In 2021, it looks like that has increased, and that's really great for us to hear. It's 90% rated recruitment good or very good, and 93% rated it as induction and training as good or very good, which is fantastic for us to hear. Obviously, it means that there's still some room for improvement there, that 10%, that 7%. So obviously, things to improve on, but in comparison, we have improved in both of these fields. What have we done to hopefully improve is we've updated our website to make it more accessible. We've been better at putting more opportunities on the website. We've also kind of streamlined the way that we reply to emails in terms of people requesting about different opportunities. We've also tried to offer more one-off opportunities across the parks. And we've really tried to, as much as we can, perfect internal procedures for inductions and training, and we've tried to support coordinators to be able to follow these. And that's something that we're really going to try to continue to do in 2022 and beyond, because there's always room for improvement. In fact, on Monday, I'm going to meet with some coordinators on Monday to give them a refresher and a training on everything. So we're really trying to get back into the swing of things after COVID, provide coordinators with a yearly annual training on all of the policies and procedures to make sure and hope that it's a really smooth process for everybody, and that everybody is receiving the same or similar recruitment and experience through recruitment, induction, and training. And obviously, I know that some volunteers might have been here for a really long time, you know, and really appreciate that. And some people might be new. So those experiences might be different, whether you joined, you know, 10 years ago or, you know, a year ago. So hopefully we're improving that. Hopefully we're getting better, and hopefully we're bringing everybody along with us. So another area that we looked at was setting expectations, assigning tasks, and also access to training and tools. So in 2020, it was 98% of the respondents said that we were good or very good for setting expectations, 94% for good or very good for task assignment, and 92% for training and tools. As we can see, that's again improved in 2021. Obviously, 2020 was a very difficult year for us all, and we did take big breaks. But really good to see that 100% of all respondents thought that we were setting expectations at a good or very good standard. This is something that I'm really keen to do by making sure that there are role descriptions, that people really understand what's expected of them, what the role is going to be, so that they can enjoy it as much as we can also, you know, benefit from it as well. And we've also been trying to do a lot more with access, well, to training and information sharing by putting on monthly either online events like this or in-person talks and walks. So we always put that in the monthly newsletter So please keep an eye out for that if you haven't seen it before. We definitely want to do a lot more of that. And if there is anything in terms of training or tools, always please do feedback to your coordinator. We really, really want to hear from you. And we need to, if we need to do better, we need to hear it. Fair treatment and welcoming volunteers. Again, something that we seem to be doing generally well, which is exciting, is 97% of volunteers felt that there was fair treatment. And the welcoming question was newly added in 2021, so we don't have any data for that. But again, you can see it's in the high 90% for both of those. So really important for us is that volunteering is fair and open for everybody, is that we try and take away any barriers that may stop people from volunteering or feel like they can't volunteer. We really value volunteers at the Royal Parks, and you are part of our team and the volunteering team, and we want you to feel welcomed. So we hope that we do that often. And we also, reminder to all of the coordinators or anybody who is recruiting that this is always a fair process. So everybody has a fair chance to be recruited into any opportunity. Recognition, appreciation, and valuing volunteers. So in 2020, 93% said it was good or very good for recognition, 86% for appreciation, and 95% for valuing. And again, that's gone up in all three categories, which is really great to hear. We're hoping that people are really enjoying the regular newsletters that we're trying to do to keep people updated and thank through the volunteer spotlights. We're also working really hard with our social media team as well to highlight volunteer groups, highlight the work that you're doing to the public, to show really, where all the hard work is coming from. And it's really important for us as a volunteer team that our volunteers do feel valued. We recognise your input, and it's just really important. And due to COVID, our volunteer numbers have grown so much, but we haven't even been able to throw a volunteer celebration since 2019 due to COVID and the restrictions and people not feeling comfortable being in close spaces. But as I hope you've all seen, is that we're planning some of those volunteer recognition events over the next couple of months. There'll be all the invites will be coming through soon. And we used to do just one central one in Hyde Park, but because we have so many volunteers now, we're spreading that out over the park. So we're going to have a few at each one. And we'd really love to do more of that, whether it's doing smaller group things. We sometimes do stuff at Christmas as well. So we really do appreciate it. And any feedback on what we can do more is really appreciated. So while we're so pleased that things have come out really positively on our volunteer survey, and we hope we're doing a great job, and it feels like we're doing a great job in a lot of places. There are definitely also some places that we can improve, and not all of those are at 100% yet. So that definitely means we've got room to improve. But we've already started thinking about what we can do to change that. So some of the areas that were drawn out of what we needed to improve on, one of them was plan sharing. So 12% overall felt that you had no plan or that you didn't know of a plan for them within the Royal Parks. And it was 25% in 2020, so it has improved. But what we're going to continue to try and do more of is working really close with park managers, other internal Royal Parks teams, to share more long-term plans with you about your opportunities, your zones that you're looking after. And there's a potential for this to be shared via online meetings, through resource documents, or verbally in person with your volunteer coordinator. Connection, social opportunities. So this is something that I think has come up quite a lot, and it's absolutely fantastic that more volunteers want to meet other volunteers, and it's definitely something that we need to do better of. And we hope that more of the in-person volunteer specific walks and talks has given people an opportunity to keep connected. That we as a volunteer team are also going to try and drop in at more opportunities so that you can feel connected to us as well. And obviously our volunteer recognition events that we're trying to bring back in. We have been searching and high and low for a platform that might act as more of a social online platform for our volunteers. We'll keep you posted. We haven't managed to find anything that quite fits the bill yet. But we hope to offer more social events in the future. I know Mag's on this call suggested the idea of a volunteer choir. So if anybody would be keen for that, it might be I think Mags, if you're volunteering to lead that. So any ideas like that, we're really open to listening to, and it would be really good for us to do more. So volunteers from different groups can meet and chat and potentially get involved in different opportunities. The connection to TRP itself, 36% felt that they could be more connected to the organisation, which is an improvement on 50% in 2020. So again, we're doing more within our volunteer newsletter to try and kind of connect volunteers to stuff that's going on all around the parks, different resources, different events that are going on. And so we're also kind of working with the park managers, sometimes trying to get them to pop by as well, different members of staff. And one thing that we'd love to do is to maybe get some other members of staff to come and join some of the volunteering days so that volunteers can hear more about what other people do in the organisation. Also, events like this to really connect to different topics that are going on and about in the park. So if there's ever anything you want to hear about, do let us know, and then we can put together an opportunity for that. And this kind of links nicely into training. So 26% of you had ideas on additional training that you could benefit, and 97% of you were interested in a programme of events and learning curated for our volunteers. So currently we're trying to do that once a month with these online and in-person events, but we really want to do more. We've been looking into potential first aid training that we would be offering out to volunteers. So again, if there's anything else that you're particularly interested in, it's really good for us to know, and we can create that training and additional information sharing around that. So it's really good to get that feedback, not just on an annual basis, but feel free to pop us an email to the volunteering inbox, and we'll certainly take that into account and try and mold something around that. Volunteer opportunities. Many of you wanted it to be easier to get involved with more opportunities, more spaces and more timings. Well, I absolutely agree with you on this, is that since COVID, we've had so much more interest in everything. That certainly has made some opportunities a little harder to get onto, and we've had more waiting lists than we've had before. This is something that I'm working on, trust me. We potentially need a little bit more staff resource within our team to be able to open up more opportunities across the parks. But fingers crossed, in the not too distant future, that will be something that is available. And I kind of covered social opportunities. So on the whole, we are I think we're doing okay. We're trying and working really hard to make our opportunities more accessible. We're trying to offer more one-off opportunities within the limits of the staff resource and resource that we have, but we would love to do more as well. So I really do appreciate everybody who fed back into our annual survey. It is so important for us to understand areas where we're missing, areas where we can improve, and also it's nice for us to know when we're also doing things right. And don't feel that you just need to feedback annually. Please do feedback to your coordinator or to the volunteer inbox or to myself if you don't feel like you can feedback to your individual coordinator. I am always here and always happy to listen. So that's really kind of an overview of kind of the feedback as a whole, but I know that many of you are from different groups across the park and might have different questions. So I'm going to close the presentation, and now it's just an opportunity for all of you who are here to ask myself or any of the team who might be your coordinators any questions, and we'll happily take them and hopefully answer them as best we can. Thank you. So do we have any questions? I can see Brian's hand up.
Thanks, Bryony. When I became a Royal Park volunteer, but it must have been about 12 years ago, something like that. The volunteers were asked to go up to Lancaster House, and we were given a very nice meal and a few presentations. But one of the things I remember them saying they were quite keen to do was to improve the demographics of the volunteers. I mean, at the time, basically what they were saying, there was the volunteers they had, the demographics seemed to show they were basically ladies of a certain age who had been retired, sort of thing, and they really wanted to spread that. Can you tell me what that's been like since then, sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we've still got a lot to do in that respect, but actually, and I think we found this actually since the pandemic, is our spread and our demographic in terms of age as well is actually broadened quite a bit. We've had quite a lot of younger volunteers coming in, people looking to change career. By any means, we're set in terms of other protected characteristics. I don't think we're there yet. Also, we found it does depend on the park as well. So each park is very different with those demographics that we have. So we definitely tend to find that we've kind of had a bit more kind of diversity across some of these protected characteristics in the central parks. But it's definitely getting better. I don't know if Jo has to hand. Jo's our data lady, also volunteer ranger manager. But I can also pull those for you and actually send them after this if you want, because I don't want to fuddle the numbers. But it's definitely getting better, but definitely more work to be done. And myself and Anna and quite a few other of our colleagues in the Royal Parks are on the EDI working group, Equality, Diversity, Inclusion working group, which has come out of a lot of things, but we're working to create an EDI strategy for across the Royal Parks and volunteers, and volunteering is very much a really big part of that. I'm also working on a working group looking at access and engagement. So again, working and volunteering and community engagement is a really big part of that. So there's always some way to go, but we are doing better, absolutely. It's hard to know if it's organic or because some of the things that we're doing are right. Hopefully it's a combination of both. But we're certainly seeing a better age distribution. I would say I think we're still erring. The females still have it on men to women. But yeah, and demographically in terms of ethnicity, we're still majority white, absolutely. But that's definitely something that we're trying to do some insights work to look at. Who are the locals to the park area, and actually what does representation look like for each park. So that's something that's definitely going to be done across the organisation and volunteering over the next year or so. But great question. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you.
Rach, can you see any more hands?
Yeah, we've got Sarah. Sarah Joyner has her hand up as well.
Hi there. Yes, I volunteer over Hyde Park, Kensington Gardens, and it's quite interesting because and this is more of an observation, and also Brian will be highly amused to hear that recently someone said to me, do you know, yours is the first British accent I have heard in this park for months. And I said to them, oh, that's lovely. I didn't admit that both my parents are Australian and so am I, but so you can't win, unfortunately, whichever way you go. But you're right, it is around the demographics of the area you live in, and again with the age groups. But also where I volunteer, which is in the super nursery, quite literally the super nursery, is absolutely super. And I was so thrilled to get a space there.
Oh, good.
You need also to be sensitive. I understand this as a volunteer to the members of staff who are working there, what wages they're on, how many of us there are in relation to them, because there is that delicate balance. They are thrilled to have us, and it's very important, particularly at this time of year when they're trying to get everything out to all the royal parks for their summer bedding. But you could never flood, for instance, the super nursery with volunteers or any part of the park, because you upset the balance between paid staff and volunteers. And I know that's a difficult one for you, but the opportunities are tremendous. And I really enjoy it. I'm just thrilled with it. I float out of there absolutely exhausted. I planted 700 heucheras today, so on my own.
Amazing.
But
And
no,
actually,
it is great fun.
I'm so glad you're enjoying it. And actually, I was speaking to one of the nursery guys at the staff party the other day, and he was saying how much having volunteers in the nursery has made him find a new appreciation for the job, that it's reminded him why he does it, and it's reminded him why it's such a lovely job and how much he loves it in a way that he didn't have until they had volunteers in there. So you guys are helping the staff in the nursery as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, as long as it's reminding them in a good way.
Yes.
And also very interesting for us, those of us who are the Tuesday volunteers. I know I was there today, but I make up days if I do community gardening at Clement James, which is part of Grenfell. So I was there yesterday. But all the staff from the Royal Park, from Hyde Park, were actually there for an induction day, and watching the staff, who never work in a nursery normally, have the most wonderful time. It was good fun to see all of you trying out what it's like to work in a super nursery.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Sarah. But a really
right.
valuable point about, balancing and having that sensitivity through to staff and contractors. Absolutely. And, that's something that with the we're introducing some new posts to the parks relatively soon, and some head gardener roles. And part of what I'm going to do is also go and talk to the contractors and staff, and we're also going to be presenting about volunteering and a volunteering program